Alright, so today we are back with Blue Lock, and today we will go over chapter 253, which honestly is pretty insane, so be sure to stick to the end to see what happens. Anyway, my name is Natsu, I'm gonna stop talking, and let's get right into the chapter. However, before that, please double check if you are subscribed to the channel as you don't want to miss my chapter reviews. And while you're already down there, you can always leave a like and a comment. And with that out of the way, let's finally get into it. Alright, so let's begin by reading the text at the top, which will help us remember what happened in the last chapter. It says, like a race car on nose, Shidou's header blows past Gagamaru to give PXG the opening goal. As the audience gets whipped into a frenzy, the demon and the contrarian give insight into what is necessary to take control of this match. After that, the match commentator screamed goal, saying that it was an absolute rocket into the top left corner and that Charles Chevalier obliterated the defense with a pinpoint killer pass. And on the receiving end was Blue Lock's pink-haired demon, with Shidou Ryusei's ultra goal. PXG draws first blood, and as this is going on, Shidou gets up from the ground and he and Charles goes right into hugging each other, as they are ecstatic, and not only them, but also all of the spectators watching from home. Shidou is over the moon and says that Charles is awesome and tells him to keep feeding Shidou. Charles, while having a rather weird facial expression, says right back to Shidou and calls him a pink-haired weirdo, telling him that he's amazing and that he was the only one who reacted to his pass. After that, they starts goofing around and Shidou says that he just followed his desire and instincts, and Charles' pass found him perfectly. As Shidou is messing up Charles' hair, Charles says that this really might be the first time that someone caught up perfectly to his impish passes. Shidou, still looking like a maniac, says that it's the first of many, and that in this match the devilish weirdo combo is gonna go on an explosive rampage, and then they go off and starts basically speaking nonsense. However, you can really see how happy the two of them are to finally have found someone that sees the game as they do. After that, we go to Loki, who is sitting comfortably in his master chair and says that a contrarian, impish, maverick personality that lies contradictory to his genius passing and playmaking skills. Noah looks over, but stays quiet as Loki continues and says that to unlock Charles's full abilities, he experimented with many different things in the previous few matches, but this time it finally happened. The high-level chemical reaction needed to awaken him. Loki's face is filled with excitement as he says that the Neo-Egoist League has finally gotten much more interesting, and an out-of-this-world striker will help a playmaker reach even greater heights, and that the faster Charles develops, it won't be long before he surpasses Noah. He says this directly to Noah himself as he looks at him. However, Noah still has his stone-cold expression and doesn't say anything. After that, we get to Isagi and Reichi is furious, asking the VAR if they are blind and that the goal should be disallowed, explaining that Rin grabbed Isagi and prevented Isagi from playing defense. However, we also have Isagi, who thinks that they probably won't overturn it because, to tell the truth, then he fouled Rin first when he went for the steal, but since Rin managed to keep possession and got off a quality shot, VAR will probably determine it as advantage played. And it is as Isagi predicts, as the VAR says, that the call still stands, which Reichi isn't happy with, as he says that he will go up and kick them. However, luckily, Isagi stops him and says that it isn't worth getting a card over. After that, he thinks that more importantly, he has to analyze and understand the mechanism behind Shidou's goal, thinking that first, without a doubt, everyone on the field was playing at their absolute best. But the fact that no one could react to those two's outrageous combination means that simply playing according to the perfect scenario they envisioned isn't enough to score goals, saying that before they managed to produce their perfect scenarios, and that they could easily score 1 or 2 goals, but with both teams playing at such a high level, simply enacting their scenarios isn't good enough. Isagi thinks that from watching Charles play, he knew that he was a dangerous player, but the fact that he's still developing makes him even scarier, and his pass just now, it felt like he was simply laughing down at them, which really isn't something you want. He explains it as an impish pass that screamed otherworldly, and then Shidou's pursuit of ecstasy responded and crossed with Charles's pass, and looking at those two just now, they didn't plan or practice that play beforehand, and that they rather clashed and crossed their best performance to produce that goal. But if that's the case, then it's similar to the goal that Hiyori and he teamed up on, and at that time they produced a chemical reaction where they synced and crossed their individual winning vision with one another, which means that to win the league, they are going to have to enter the demon's lair and come up with goals that equal or surpasses that chemical reaction. Isagi has pieces flying around him as he says that it's seriously fucked up. But just then, Hiyori comes walking by and says that if that's the standard, then they are gonna have real hell on their hands, and since they have to change their entire thought process, Hiyori wants to use the time to reorganize quickly and asks if Isagi wants to join. Isagi agrees and says that it looks like they have to consistently clash their winning visions to win this. Hiyori just agrees and says that they should do a quick recap. He he thinks back to Ego and says that the bowl cut himself told him that the most important thing is hunger, and that what they currently desire the most is the key to their own originality, thinking that hunger provides hints that allow them to formulate an achievable challenge, and that if they fully immerse themselves in their challenge, it produces the chemical reaction, also known as flow. And then if they manage to recreate the perfect scenario that they can envision, you can then play at your absolute peak, your top performance. So basically, if we should make it easier to understand, it is hunger that leads to an original achievable challenge, and with egocentrism and focus leads to flow. Flow then leads to the challenge to winning vision, which leads to the final step, which is their top performance. After that, Isagi says that what they currently desire the most is the key to their originality, but he also says that Shidou's goal wasn't the work of just his winning vision. Hiyori agrees and says that they must cross their winning vision with someone else's to pull this off, and Hiyori is just about to say something more when Noah rudely cuts him off and tells them to recreate it. Both of them looks over shocked and sees Noah with this immense aura as he tells them to score a goal that surpasses the goal the two of them scored in the last match, asking them if they can do it. Isagi doesn't know what to say, but Hiyori, just without hesitation, says yes with a smile on his face. But Noah isn't quite done with just that, as he says that if they don't keep Charles and Shidou under control, they will keep getting more uncontrollable and they will lose, and because of that, he says that they are tweaking the game plan a little, looking at someone and telling him to man-mark Shidou. And who else could it be that he is thinking of, if not the dark horse Kunigami Rensuke, which comes as a shock to Kunigami. But Noah tells him to restrict and steal Shidou Ryusei's freedom. Shidou overhears this and gets a smile on his face as both him and Kunigami thinks back to their shared past with each other, which led Kunigami to the wild card. But this makes Kunigami's blood boil as his eyes starts to light up and he says, "Yes, sir." After that, we get this awesome looking chapter with Isagi, Kunigami, and Hiyori all walking side by side. Isagi says that he is counting on Kunigami, but he just tells him to piss off, and Hiyori says that it's time for an eye and that it's time to counterattack. The text at the bottom says, "You ain't gonna just walk all over us. An eye for an eye, a goal for a goal, it's time to strike back." And the next chapter will excitingly be called My Model, the World's Model, which I haven't got a clue to what it could mean, but I know one thing, which is that it sounds incredibly cool. Now believe it or not, but I'm not sure if there's much that I can add to this, as it was a lot of explaining in this chapter, which means that it basically already did what I usually do at the end. But let's go over some things I found cool about this chapter. Firstly, we have to talk about Charles and Shidou and how happy they are together. They have finally found someone that can keep up with their wildest desires, and we can see that they are happier than ever because of that. It kind of reminds me of Hiyori and Isagi when they scored their crazy goal in the game. Or also Ness and Kaiser, which I know that it's a one-sided relationship, but I hope you see my point. Now let's talk about the madman Kunigami Rensuke, who is finally coming back into the spotlight. It feels like it has been ages since he was an important character, but I'm glad that he is finally coming into play with both Isagi and Hiyori, and I can't wait to see his interactions with Shidou later in this game. But one thing is crystal clear for me, and that is that we need more Kiora in this game, but that's just what I think. Anyway, yeah, this is just my thoughts on it, and please leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments, as I love reading them. If you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel, and while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you are curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video which will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye.